There's ginger at the bottom of my jug. Water. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday. It's so hot. I'm kind of like not even. It's crazy. It's so hot. I've been using like one roll of napkin after another. I sweat a lot. So if somebody can just let me know that I can be heard clearly and everything is working fine, I'll be grateful. So I'm kind of like reading the comments to figure out that this is the case, that everybody can hear me loud and clear. So if you can, please just kindly send me a message to say that you can hear me clearly. Yeah, so I'm just waiting for that. Just any message from anyone basically telling me they can hear me clearly and that I'm on. So that's what I'm really waiting for. Okay. Mel, stop drinking. We are fasting. Okay. And Sumana, I will not drink again. I shall not drink again. What I will do, I'll take a sip. I'll just take one last sip. I'm not drinking. I'm just sipping. So I'm just taking a sip of water. Mm-hmm. We will have to debate on the distinguishing factors between sipping water and drinking water. Okay, good. So so I'm getting comments that you can hear me clearly. Okay, good. Now, I think it was on Wednesday, was it? It was on Wednesday, and of course we had this kind of raffle draw that we did. It came about really at first. It was just something that I just decided to try out, and so I think I posted a picture and then asked the question, and of course the interaction was great. The response was phenomenal. So, and then unfortunately I decided I was going to delete the video. I think I said that even on the live video I was going to delete it right after. So I did. And I've just been inundated with messages of people telling me, why did you delete it? We want to watch it. We've had so much about this video and things. Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to repeat it. But what I can do is maybe someday we'll do a similar topic, and probably, I don't know if the same questions that were asked would be asked again. But so that's it. So Joey, I'm not putting you in suspense. So anyway, so this is it. So today I decided I'm going to do like a weekly or twice weekly, since we're all home with this coronavirus thing. What I'm going to do is do I hope you're aware that there can be more people. Oh, that's fine. That's fine, Coochie. That's fine. They can watch from wherever, what windows they have that they can watch from. It's not a secret cult. I'm not talking about anything that I won't talk about publicly, so I'm fine. I mean, it's up to them to watch outside of the window or come in or knock and come in. That's really entirely up to them. So that's fine. So, okay. So the title basically of my topic today is Across the Miles. How did I come about this title? When I started school, because I'm using my phone, I tried to use my laptop, but it wasn't working right. So I'm using my phone now, and then because I'm using my phone, so when somebody sends me a message on WhatsApp, it kind of I don't know, the call, the live video gets interrupted, so I have to keep going back and forth to do that. So we'll just have to make do with that until I can figure out how I can actually block the calls from WhatsApp whilst I'm doing the live video. So when I started college, if you're familiar with schooling, with education in the States, you would realize that there's something we call English 101. So in fact, in contemporary parlance nowadays, you will hear people say, "Oh, I'm lecturing you on da 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 101." So English 101 was one of my subjects in college when I just started college. And the first English assignment that was given to me was, of course, I was an African boy from Gambia, from mainland Africa, going to Kirkwood College, which is Kirkwood is in Iowa. It's in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And Iowa is a predominantly white state, so it wasn't common to have a lot of people, a lot of black people, black students in Kirkwood at the time. So I think I was the only black student. I was the only black student for a while, and then there was this Sudanese guy that, trust me, when I saw him, I was like, okay, I always used to think I'm black as in the color black, and I saw this guy was jet black. And he would always wear very bright colors like red and orange and things. So at least when he came on board, it was a bit, the attention shifted from me to him. Because trust me, he was dark. He was really dark. Anyways, so basically this is what I'm going to talk about. So when I did that essay, the title of my essay was Across the Miles. And people that know me, I think most Gambians by now, even ones, the ones that are not very familiar with me or not close to me, know that I am a person who hardly discards anything. So I keep things, I keep documents, I keep papers. I like to have a trace of things. So I just bumped into, I was going through my papers the other day, and I just bumped into my essay and the marks and everything. In fact, I was going to bring it downstairs, and I forgot. So I'll probably just post it on the page later on. So I did this essay, and of course, I had good grades, phenomenal grades. In fact, what he wrote on my essay was he did not know at the time that he didn't say a Gambian, he said an African, somebody from Africa, would write such beautiful English. And he was asking me whether I was actually born in the States or I had been living in the States or that kind of thing. So I was like, no, I'm from Gambia. And he was visibly, impressed with the essay. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to transport you back to, almost 20 years or more than 20 years ago it was, when I left the Gambia and traveled to the States. So this is how it all started. Immediately I finished my O levels, I got a job like the first job that I really applied for and got the job. Like, there was an advert on the paper for it, and it was a job. The position was for a food aid monitor at the WFP, which was one of the United Nations agencies, the UN agencies, WFP in the Gambia. I think the Gambia at the time was battling with a bout of drought, so they were looking for food aid monitors, and of course I applied, but I didn't have no qualifications at the time aside of my O levels, which I had then. But when I went for the interview, and I went for the interview with a bunch of other folks who, some of them were more qualified than I am with regard, talking about academic qualifications, but I got the job. I passed the interview and got the job. So whilst I was working at the WFP, but at the time, the entire time I was in high school, I had a girlfriend that I was dating. I think she's the only person that I think, proper, when I got conscious that you can really get into a proper relationship, this was the only person that I can remember dating. So we were dating, and it was like a beautiful relationship, like the first serious relationship whereby, my parents, my mom, my family know her, and her family knows me, that kind of thing. So we were super, super close. Like, the whole thing, you come from school, you go pick her up from school, you walk home together. That kind of thing was beautiful. I mean, it's not like now where people are so young kids nowadays are so smart. They know everything about relationships. They do things that you would never ever have dreamt of at the time of doing. So it was just basically pick her up, we go study together, we'll go read together, find a place to go study, that kind of thing. So a couple of months before, because I left for the States in August, and she left for the UK in April. And for me, when that happened, it was the most devastating thing that could ever happen to a human being. I couldn't function. I remembered actually, going literally when she I know if she's watching, or she ever sees this video, she'll be like trying to strangle me. But when the day she was leaving and coming to England, I will never forget. It was on a Friday, and trust me, I went to her house. Of course, I was like devastated. I was like, the whole, like 3 days before that I found out, I was like crying the whole time. I was crying the whole time. I couldn't do anything. So basically, the day she was leaving, so I went to her house, of course, to say goodbye. And of course, I was gonna go. I wasn't too sure if her parents were gonna allow me to go to the airport or not, because that was back in the days that, you don't have a car. I don't even own a bicycle or anything. So I went to her house, and when I got to her house, there was like a truckload of people in the house. Like, trust me, there was like people from everywhere. I think her dad or something, or her mom's parents were from Brikama, her dad was from somewhere else. So like, there's a truckload of people. There's like a bunch of people out there. And then here I was, this loner, and of course it was the first time her mom introduced me to her own grandma and said, okay, this is, well, I don't know, I don't want, I pray I'm not going to make a mistake like the last time and call the person's name, but this is whoever's friend. Of course, he never said that was my boyfriend. He said that's the person's friend. And okay, so there I was, sad as ever, couldn't concentrate, couldn't do anything. And then of course, it was time to go to the airport, and trust me, there were all these vans and cars outside. Like, everybody was trying to, and people were just crying. It was like a funeral. Like, everybody was crying, and I think except her mom or something, or her dad, but everybody was crying. And then, of course, surprisingly, I was invited to join them to go to the airport. So of course, I went to the airport, joined one of the cars. Trust me, it was like it was like going to see off a president or something like that. So, and I know this is what used to happen back in the days, because it happened in my family as well. When people were traveling, it was like a program. You come home from school early, you want to go to the airport. There's like 2, 3, 4 cars waiting just to take one person to the airport and just stand and wave and say goodbye. So to some of you, this would be very familiar. So coming back to my story. So she left in August. But I was just not myself anymore, and I didn't want to do anything. I go to work, all I do is cry. Like, I was so unhappy. I didn't want to do anything, nothing. The only thing I wanted was just to leave. I just wanted to leave, and leave again, So, of course, I started, working on stuff, on schools and things like that. And then, I guess because I was really stressed out and everything, so I got sick. Yeah, I got ill. I was in a car going, traveling from Banjul. Was it from Banjul? Yeah. I can't. No, I was traveling. I was coming from up the Combos and coming to Banjul. And this was back in the days when you had like the vans, like the commercial vehicles. So I sat in front of the van. And of course, I was stressed out the whole time. All I do is cry. Because people that know me, and I'm so sure some of her friends on my Facebook, that was my only concentration. Like, I didn't have friends that I hang out with. I still don't have friends that I hang out with. But she was my friend. She was like my sister. She was everything. So at that young age, that was everything I know. So I was like devastated. So I was just not myself. I wasn't eating right. If you see me, I'll probably post some pictures later. I was so skinny. So anyways, I was on this van traveling to Banjul. And then the guy, I was sitting next to this soldier, like he was a military person dressed in his uniform. But you know how when you're sitting in the van, she was sitting right, I was sitting next to him. I sat next to him. So my arm, the side of my arm was actually touching the side of his own arm. Yeah, so like my left side was actually touching his own right side. So he turned to me. I mean, before, okay, I was feeling bad. It was as if something was happening to me. I didn't know what it was. But then he turned to me and said to me, in Wolof, like, Yangi okay. I don't know how to say it. Yangi okay. Yangi alright. And then I said to him, wow. He said to me, yo, alright to load it. I said to him, Mangi alright. So, and we were approaching Denton Bridge. But, sorry, it's just, somebody's just trying to message me and it's just interrupting the call. So what he said was that he could feel from my arm touching his arm, he could feel my heart beat. So I was having this bout of like very serious palpitations that he sitting next to me was actually feeling my heart beat. So by the time we got to Denton Bridge, I can't remember what happened, but I just passed out. All I know what happened after was that I woke up and I was at the RBTH and my mom was over me and what happened. So I woke up and I just said to my mom, I'm dying. It's like, what? My mom was like, shut up, you're not dying. I said, no, I'm dying. I know I'm dying. And I was crying like, I'm dying. But whatever happened to me at that time, I don't know. I probably would never know what happened, but this was what happened. So I was in the hospital for a day. Like, I spent the whole night in the hospital. The next day I went home. But this whole dying feeling never left me. Like, every day something would happen and I would feel like I'm dying. Then, of course, eventually I went to the MRC. When I went to the MRC, my aunt arranged for me to see a doctor. The doctor said it was a panic attack. How he described it. He said it was a panic attack, and he said to me, every time it happens, I should breathe into a brown envelope, and and I'm seeing my older brother telling me it was also love attack syndrome, whatever that is. So anyway, I should breathe into this brown envelope. I did that. It didn't work. It can happen at any time. Sometimes it happens at night. Sometimes it happens during the day. It was bad. So it could happen to me at any time. I could probably even be in church singing, and then I would just have this feeling my heart will be beating fast. I'll get scared and I'll be afraid, and I'm thinking, what's happening with me? That kind of thing. And eventually, of course, I don't know, some people that are watching know, I'll call his name. I had to go stay with Reverend King because I was so scared because it would happen to me at home. So I told my mom that I was leaving and I was going to go, stay with Reverend King because, of course, he was a reverend minister. He would pray for me, and then, so I that's how I moved, and I went to stay with Reverend King, who was like the pastor in my church, the reverend in my church. So it was that serious, but he was like a brother. He still is a brother. He's my friend. So that was how I ended up staying with Reverend King, because I just couldn't stay in my house because I felt I was dying and this thing was happening to me so frequently. So fast forward, so I started, when I went to Reverend King, of course, he was looking at schools to go do his masters and things like that. So most of the time, I'll be there. He'll be on his email trying to, talk to schools and things like that. So that's how it all started. And I I started looking for a school. But a particular Sunday, I had this lady in my church who was really, really super close to me. She just loved me. She just liked me. So she came to my house and said that, so she came to see me when, of course, one of those days that I was really ill and I couldn't go to church. And then she said to me, you know what, but what are you doing? I said, nothing, I don't know, I'm not doing anything, because I wasn't going to work at the time because I was off sick and stuff. So she said to me, can you come to my office and bring your certificates, your documents and stuff like that? So I did, and I gave it to her. Fast forward to like a month or so, I got a letter, or she called me, gave me an envelope. It was an I-20 for the school, which was Kirkwood. And of course, I had to arrange for the whole visa fee and stuff like that, to pay for visa and stuff. So that happened, did that. I went. The first time, I'm gonna say this now. The first time it happened, I went for the visa interview, and then it was so long. There was like loads and loads and loads of people. I came from work. I went to work, and then of course I think I left the office to go for this appointment. I was sat there for like hours just waiting for my turn to come. So I fell asleep. And I was sleeping. When they called my name, somebody woke me up, and of course I just walked the way the American embassy is. I walked to this glass window or whatever, and this woman was there, and she just said to me, what are you going to study in the States? And I was so lost. Because it was like I was in a day's world. And then as soon as she asked me that question, I didn't know what to say. So I saw the paper, because she had my I-20, and I just saw humanities on the side of the paper. And I just said humanities. She said, you're going to study humanities? I said, yes, I'm going to study humanities. She said, okay, where will you be studying humanities? And I said to her, I said, Kirkwood College. And she's like, okay, all right. She did whatever, those were the only questions. She did whatever she was doing. And then she just told me, sorry, I can't issue the visa. So I was rejected. So, but at the time, I didn't know that was why. So, of course, I left. So I don't know how they do their own things. So later on I got to find out, but I'll tell you how I found out. So I left again. Can you imagine me? I was suffering from this panic attack or whatever it was that they said I was suffering from. Then I just got rejected for a large level. Me, I thought that was it for me. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do nothing. 24/7 I was crying. 24/7. I couldn't do anything. I didn't want to talk to no one. Anyways. And then, of course, this woman I told you again came and, started praying, said, you know what, it's not the will of God. Like, when things happen, it's for a reason. Don't give up and stuff like that. So imagine like a month, it was like, I think 2 weeks. Oh, was it up to 2 weeks? Yeah, I think 2 weeks after, I had to pay again. But this time I didn't pay, she paid. I had to pay again. And of course, this time I was ready. So I went for the interview, and it was not even the lady, it was another guy, some kind of type of guy. And of course, he asked me questions. I answered all his questions. He talked about my grades. He talked about everything. I answered, and he said to me, oh, congratulations, come back at 4 p.m. to collect your visa. And then just before, as I was leaving, then he said to me, I don't know, but I'm thinking the previous lady made notes. And then he said to me, would you be studying, this was after he told me come back at 4, and then he just called me with a little bit of like, a subtle smile on his face, and then he said to me, would you be studying humanities at Kirkwood? And I was like, I said, no. I said, I'm going to be reading I'm doing a major in pre-law and a minor in international relations. Like, with a frown on my face, with like that kind of, what are you talking about, humanities? And then he just laughed. And then I left. So it took me a while for me to actually, remember what my answer was to the previous lady the other time. So that was it. So I got my visa. So of course, I went home. I was so excited. No, I didn't go home because the lady said to me I should come back at 4. Hey, me, I didn't go home. I was just hanging around American Embassy. I went to my cousin was working at Guarantee Trust Bank at the time. I went there, talked to her. I didn't tell her anything. I didn't say anything. So I went there, and then of course just hang around and stuff. Hi, boy, 10 to 4. I was there, present, boy. I went. I got my visa and everything, and then I went home. And that was when I told my mom, because my mom did not even know that I was doing this second one. She knew about the first one, but this second one she didn't even know. So that was when I told her. I just went and I gave her my passport. And of course, if you know my mom, she's kind of like a bit emotional, and she was like crying, "Oh, why didn't you tell me? Oh, do you think I'm the one who will reach you not to have that kind of thing?" I was like, no, I just didn't want to tell anyone. So I got it. Okay, and this is when the wahala kind of started. Well, I wouldn't say it's wahala. So now I got the visa, and then of course, like, prices of air ticket were very ridiculous at that time. So I was now wondering, okay, and my mom, if you know them Akumer boy, and my mom was like, we have to plan things. So you just got the visa. You have until September. What was it? August, late August. Yeah, August. School was opening in August, something like that. And she said to me, so we have to plan. You're just telling me now. Me at that time struggling. I said, like, what, plan? I was like, no way. I was like, me, I'm leaving. I was like, I think this was like, I got the visa on a Wednesday or Wednesday, yeah. Yeah, I think I got the visa on a Wednesday, something like that. No, I got the visa on a Thursday. I got the visa on a Friday. And I was like, no, I got the visa on a Thursday. And then I was like, nope. I was like, me, I'm leaving. And my mom was like, how are you going to leave? Do you have money? That I said, me, I'm leaving. My mom was like, no, you have to sit down. We have to plan. You have to know. I said, no, I am leaving. Me, I'm not going to stay. I said, I cannot stay. I was like, no way, I'm not staying. But guess what? This was me talking, I'm not staying. But I didn't have a dime with me. But I said I wasn't staying. Poor woman. So anyways, I started trying to figure out how to do things, like talking to stuff. And then I'll tell you guys something that happened that probably I've never been able to tell anyone. I've never said this to anyone. So remember, if you have been following my story, I explained, I was trying to narrate my friendship or relationship I had with a particular lady who had actually left before me like a few months. So I called her and I told her, and of course, trust me, when the bond was strong and everything was like, I called her. This was somebody I've known for years. We were like best of friends. We do everything together. So her own parents had given her money to pay for her own schooling, for her tuition. And when I told her that this is it, and I've got the visa, but I want to leave, and my mom says I should wait, she told me that I should hang up the phone and she would call me again. I said, okay. She called me again, and then she asked me if I had anyone or know anyone that lives in England that she can give money to, that can give me money in the Gambia. So I was like, okay, where are you getting the money from? And she was like, it's money my dad gave to me to pay for my next semester, but I am going to find a job and you can have it. And I'll walk. I was like, what? She's like, yeah. I was like, no way. She's like, yes. I was like, no way. And she was like, okay, you know what? Okay, just refund me. Refund me when you get back to the States and you have a job. I was like, okay. So I see you guys are watching me. So trust me, my ticket to the States was not even bought by my mom. It was bought by this person that I mentioned earlier. So if you have not been following me earlier, you'd have to go back. So she actually bought my ticket to go to the States. So this was how I left. And like I said, that particular Sunday, that's when I left. The night or the day I was leaving, of course, my mom gave me some money and said, well, I told you to wait, but you said you can't wait. This is all I have. My aunt, two of my aunties gave me like money, and that was it. That was all I had. That was everything. That was all I had, yeah, on me. And so I left. So prior to me leaving, my mom had arranged with one of her nephews, who lived in the States. And he said, oh, don't worry, let him come. I mean, I'll take care of him. I'll do everything for him. Don't worry. Like, just let him come. Everything will be fine, be perfect. We'll sort him out. So that was how my mother accepted, because I know for sure if that statement had not been made, that assurance was not given, I don't think, in retrospect, I don't think there was, she was ever going to allow me to actually leave and go with that, just the little amount of money that I had with me, because nothing was arranged with regards to school and how are you going to pay your tuition, for other semesters and things like that. So basically that's how I left. But with this assurance from this particular individual that don't worry, let him come, I'll take care of him and everything will be fine. And this is how I left. So I got the visa on a Thursday, I left on a Sunday. Now, the funny part. So when I got to the airport, of course, like the whole thing again, crying. I didn't want to leave my mom because my entire life, it's just been my mom that I've lived with, basically. My whole life, except for the short period that I left and I went to live with Reverend King. So that, it was the first time I was actually separating, we're actually physically separating for an unknown period, to be honest. And it was hard for me. So even though like I was all excited, I just wanted to go, I just wanted to leave. When the time came for me to leave, it was the hardest thing for me to do. Like separating with my mom was hard. That Sunday, I could remember my mom crying the entire time. And then, of course, sorry, somebody just called my phone again. So in the afternoon, I remember she took me and she bought me the silver bangle. This big silver bangle that had like palm trees and I think a palm tree, an elephant, and something else. This big silver bangles, and she gave that to me. My mom gave that to me and told me that I should keep it and stuff like that. And that was how I left. So I left, went to the States, traveled all the way. Then it was during the time when you had this Ghana Airways, so it was a straight flight, direct flight from Banjul to Baltimore, and it was like I think 8.5 hours flight. Got to Baltimore, the person, my mom's nephew that I told you about, came to pick me up at the airport, and this is a funny story. So I was with this old man, on the plane, and he was this old Akupa. And so when I got to the airport, his daughter told me that I should take care of him because that was his first trip to the States as well. So I should take care of him and make sure he was okay and all right. I wore jeans and a jacket, and this old pal, probably like over 80 at the time, had his 3-piece suit, with his necktie. I will never forget, a beige color suit, 3-piece suit and everything. So we sat next to each other on the plane. He was also with his nephew, who was also traveling for the first time. But the person who was actually picking me up from the airport was the same person that was picking him up, because his daughter actually lived not too far from this person. So we got on the plane, and this old man was with me the entire time and everything. When we got to the first shock was, what they call in probably, should I say in aviation or airport, should I say it's airport parlance or whatever it is, like a finger. So you know how when you get to Gambia, you get off the plane and then you have to go down the steps of the aircraft and go into a bus or something. So this was what I know. This was what I was familiar with me. So we got to Baltimore, and then I was expecting, both me and him, we were expecting that we were gonna. So he was thinking, he said to me in Aku, like, old age, the steps. So the entire time we're on the plane, he kept talking. He kept saying that he wants to exercise. If not, it will be difficult for him to climb down the stairs. So I was also thinking. So we got to Baltimore, and of course, when we landed in Baltimore, we sat down there and we were waiting for us to disembark and leave the aircraft. And when we finally did, so it was like somebody ushering us. So we kept going, walking, me and him. And then the next minute, I can't remember everything, but at that time, the next minute, we were just in front of the immigration officials. And he just turned around and looked at me and said, boy, oh boy, he's like, America a great country. Now rich without rich. So, so I don't know if you understand Aku, but what he said to me was like, America is a great country. We didn't even have to get out of the aircraft. He doesn't know how they did it. He doesn't understand it. It must have been some phenomenal architecture or some kind of design that he thought at the time. Of course, yeah, me in my own little state, I felt the same thing too, but I was trying to think that I'm sure it's not that phenomenal. There has to be something to it, So later on, I got to know that it was this it was the finger that, is usually attached to the aircraft. And so it was the finger, sorry, somebody called my phone. So it was the finger that was actually attached to the aircraft. And then you have to just take this long walk, and then you actually get into the airport building itself. So there's just this transition, this bridge that takes you there. So, but he does not understand, and at that time I didn't know what it was, but he just kept saying, America great, that's how he was talking about it, because he couldn't figure out how the hell did he get inside the airport without climbing down any stairs. So this was phenomenal. So of course we did what we were supposed to do. Then, like I said, we were waiting for my mom's nephew to come and pick us up. So he came, picked us up, and took us to McDonald's. So when he took us to McDonald's to get food and get stuff, and when we got to McDonald's, this old Aku man was like, so of course he asked he asked us what we wanted to eat, and of course we told him what we wanted, but then this old man went for the big, the Big Mac, yeah, and then the large refill Coke. Boy, this old man was just drinking, and the whole time he was eating, he's like, oh boy, America a great country. Oh, I love America. Oh, dude, and he was just going on and eating and drinking. And then the guy that came to pick us up from the airport was like, oh, uncle, do you want another? Oh, sure. He took another Coke, and he drank, and he kept saying how great America was with his 3-piece suit and everything. Anyways, this is the funny part. So we got into the car, and then we were driving from Baltimore, which is in Maryland, to Pennsylvania, to Reading, Pennsylvania. And if you know how America is, or you're familiar with America, when you're on the freeway, there's nothing there. You have to actually take an exit to either probably look for you can have a residential area exit, or probably it will tell you the restaurants or stuff like that there. So we were on the freeway, and trust me, driving on the interstate, you're driving from one state to another at top speed. This man had enjoyed himself with the Coke and everything, the Big Mac. As soon as we started, maybe 30 minutes or 45, let's say an hour into a journey, was it an hour? Oh, 30, yeah, well, 45 minutes to an hour. I just saw the man shaking, he was shaking, but, actually moving his legs and kind of you're actually listening to some music and shaking your legs. So I kept wondering, okay, is he enjoying the music that was playing on the car, on the radio, or what was up? So he kept shaking, but he didn't say anything. I looked at him again and realized, like, he was really shaking. And then, fiddling with his trousers and stuff like that. So I turned to him and I said to him, are you okay? He's like, no, 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 I'm not okay. I was like, what's wrong? Oh, I'm pressed. I was like, I didn't know what at the time, I didn't know what he meant by saying I'm pressed. So he was like, oh, I'm pressed. I was like, what do you mean you're pressed? Like, in Aku, he's like, oh, I want to use the bathroom. And it was like, he wanted to ease himself and he wanted to pee. And then, so the person that picked us up turned around and said to him that, okay, I will have to drive, hang on a minute. I'll have to drive a while and try to get, take the next exit and we're like, boy, I say I'm pressed. You say make I drive a while. Like, I'm telling you I'm pressed and you're telling me to drive a while. Like, no. I am pressed. And the next minute, this old man turned around and just started opening the door. Imagine we're on the interstate, driving that fast, and he was trying to open the door. And then my mom's nephew that was driving kept saying, Lord have mercy, wait, hey, them police. He was trying to tell him the police would get him. He says, boy, what nonsense police? I'm telling you, I'm pressed. I need to go now. So it was so funny. And of course, I was laughing. I was dying with laughter. And then my mom's nephew just said to, oh boy, Lord have mercy, because he was trying to open the door and I was trying to hold him from opening the door, and cars were driving. So the first exit he saw, he took it, and it was like a residential area, and then it was a residential. Sorry, I'm sweating. It's so hot. So it was a residential area, and then. So as soon as he turned and stopped the car, it was right in front of somebody's gate, like some old. I don't know if it was some old woman or not, but it was in front of somebody's gate, and he just opened the door and rushed outside, pam, and right there in front of the person's gate, and he was just easing himself nicely. And he'd already started, but he was just easing it, and then my mom's nephew kept saying, Lord have mercy, the police are going to come get us. These people are going to call the police for us. So that was very interesting. And that was how we got back into the car and left and went on. But I couldn't stop laughing the entire time till we got to Pennsylvania. I just couldn't stop laughing. And it was funny. It was amazing. The way he was just saying, I'm pressed and I'm telling you I want to go and you're telling me to wait. So fast forward. So we got to Pennsylvania, and then of course that's where everything started, going back to like seriousness now. So remember I had said earlier on that nothing was scheduled, like there was nothing planned with regards to payment of fees and things like that, because the whole idea was this particular person who had made this particular promise to my mom was that, oh, don't worry, I'll sort it out, I'll take care of it. So, and also at the time, my idea, my understanding of how America was, oh, you just get to the States and there are just jobs everywhere. You just go and you work and make money. So I wasn't too bothered. I thought this was going to be it. So fine, I'll just go, I'll get a job and I'll work. And of course, I'll carry on. So this was the belief I had. Anyways, when I got there, so I had the impression, even though my I-20 and even though my school was in Iowa, I had the impression that I was gonna be staying with my mom's nephew, and it was gonna be like that, and probably get another school there, and things would move on like that. So that's the impression I had, and that's the impression my mom had, because that's the impression that was given to her and the assurance that she had. Now, when I got there, I was comfortable, enjoying myself a day or two. Couple of days after, one morning, he just came to me and said to me that, hey, I think it's time for you to go. So I was like, to myself, I was like, go where? And it's like, oh, your school is in Iowa and school has already started, so you'd have to get ready to go. So what I'll do, I'll go and get a Greyhound bus. I'll go try to find out the price and stuff, and we can arrange that. So he said that, and then he left and went to work. So I sat there and I'm thinking, really? I don't know anyone in Iowa. I don't even know where Iowa is. I've never, in fact, before seeing that I-20, I had no clue, or really what Iowa was all about. But the type of person I am, I wasn't going to be begging anyone to stay with them or try to, and that's how I wasn't doing that. So I just said to him, okay, no problem. So he left, went to work. And true to his word, he came from work and he picked me up and took me to the Greyhound bus station. So we went to the Greyhound bus station to figure out how much it was to get to Iowa. So it was at the time then, it was really ridiculously expensive. It was like almost $200 at the time for the Greyhound bus from where we were in Pennsylvania to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And it was taking it was over about, not up to 48 hours, but definitely more than 24 hours. And it was long. And you had to go through all the different cities. We went to Ohio. We went to St. Louis, Illinois, before actually getting to Iowa. So it was long. And imagine, this was my first time ever going to the States. But anyways, I went. So the first shock that I got was when we went to the station, and then he told me the price of the ticket, of the Greyhound bus ticket, and then said to me that, oh, that's it. So he just stood there looking at me. So I knew I had to pay for it myself. So I was thinking, the little pocket money that they gave me in Gambia, that's all I had. But anyways, I took out the money, I paid for the bus ticket. So the ticket was for the following day. So then I started, I was like, what am I going to do? Who am I going to in Iowa? So that was what am I going to do in Iowa? Yes, I know I had the I-20, I know I had the school, but I was thinking, how am I going to do it? I don't have money, I don't have anything. So anyways, to cut a long story short, the following day came, and then this particular person who had made this particular promise to my mom that, don't worry, I am going to take care of this guy, came, picked me up. Of course, I had already packed my stuff, picked me up, and okay, we're going to the station, to the Greyhound station. And then he stopped at a store. And this is something I'll never forget, and I'll tell my kids, I'll tell my grandkids, as long as I live, I'll tell them this story. And he took me to the store and bought me a big old bag of gari. And this gari bag was so heavy. And then he bought me a pack of donuts and a big packet of cheese balls. And then he said to me that America is really hard. And there will be times when you wouldn't even have stuff to eat. But if you have this gari, then at least you'll always have something to eat. I said to him, okay. I said to him, thank you. He dropped me off. And then it was getting rather cold. So he said to me, I'll buy some things for you and I'll send them over to you, like warm clothes and stuff. I said, okay, thank you. And I got to the Greyhound bus and he left. And this was when my war or problems or whatever hardship started. First and foremost, I got on the bus and I didn't know where the heck I was going. This was, and I want to paint a picture. I want you to understand the context. This was a young guy in my teens that in America, it's a different society altogether. Because in America, a guy of my age would have been considered an adult, probably would have moved out of the home and would have been more responsible. But this was the first time I was taking such initiative, so I was clueless. To me, I was still a child. I mean, everything I had done was done for me by my mom. From buying me underwears to clothes to whatever was done by my mom. I had no idea about any of it. For me, I considered myself a child at the time. So I got on this bus and I was on the bus forever. Forever. When I tell you forever, it felt like it was forever. And remember, I had no phone. It wasn't like now that there's a whole, proliferation of mobile phones. At the time, no, it wasn't like that. I didn't have a mobile phone and I had nobody to call or talk to. So this was just me there in that Greyhound bus, just going to nowhere. I was on this bus. Eventually, you got to some stations, you had to change. I had to go. And this bag of gari was so heavy. And I had to be carrying it. I had to carry my suitcase. I had all my stuff with me. And then I think a couple of times we had to change, buses and stuff. But to cut a long story short, it was then that I started feeling bad. I was crying. Then I felt lonely. I felt so lonely. I felt like, you know what? I just wanted to go back home at that time. Because it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. Anyways, I got to Cedar Rapids, Iowa at around 10 p.m. the following day. This was 24 hours after. So when I got to the Greyhound bus station, everybody was coming out. They had people receiving them, people coming to pick them up and things like that. I basically had no one to pick me up. So I got out of the bus and I just stood there. I just sat there inside the Greyhound bus station. It was getting cold. It was cold. And I didn't have a jacket. I just had the jean jacket that I wore. And those of you who know, in winter, when you wear jeans, it gets way colder. So I was not given a jacket. I was not given anything, yeah? So I had this jean jacket on and I was so cold. So I sat there with my bag, this big old gari bag, whatever, and I just sat at the Greyhound station. I just didn't know what to do. I just sat there because I knew nobody in Iowa. This was this young guy. I just came from Gambia. I knew no one, absolutely no one. And I just sat there. So I was there. I think the bus got there around 10 p.m. at night. And after a while, the lady came and said to me, "Sir, are you waiting for someone?" And I was like, "No." And he said to me, "Well, we're about to close the station. So, you would have to leave to go outside." I was like, "Okay." So, with tears in my eyes, I just said to her, "Well, I don't know where to go." And she asked me, she's like, "What are you here for?" I said, "I'm here to go to school." And she's like, "Where's your school?" I said, "Kirkwood." Oh, she's like, "Oh, Kirkwood?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, don't worry." She's like, I'll arrange for you. I'll get a bus. I'll call a taxi for you." So I was like, "Okay, that's fine." So she called the taxi. It's another story now. Well, another twist. So she called the taxi. And of course, the taxi came before they closed. And the taxi driver asked me where I wanted to go. I said I wanted to go to Kirkwood College. But it didn't even dawn on me that, hey, you know what? It's 11 p.m. at night. Who are you going to talk to? Who are you going to meet? So it didn't really dawn on me until I got into the taxi. And of course, when I got into the taxi, because the lady had said to me, "Oh, it's not too far off." But when I got into the taxi, the taxi driver asked me, "Oh, is this your first time in the state?" I said, "Yes." "Oh, have you ever been to Iowa before?" I said, "No." "Have you been to Cedar Rapids?" I said, "No." He's like, "Oh, okay. Are you a new student?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Okay, I'll take you there." The driver kept driving. We were driving, and I just sat there. Eventually, we got to Kirkwood College, and then he said to me, "Oh, this is Kirkwood." I I took my stuff out, and then he said to me, "Oh, that's $60. I was like, "Oh, okay." I tried calculating $60 into Gambian dollars. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. But I thought, it's just normal. Maybe it's just like $60. So I paid him. I went into Kirkwood, and there was only the security guard in the school. There's the security. This I think they call community police or whatever. They dress like police officers, but they're not. They were the security for the school. And I said to them, well, I'm here. I'm from Gambia and stuff like that. And the guy just looked at me and said to me, well, sorry, like everybody's gone home. You have to go and come back tomorrow. I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah. I was like, is there any, like because I was thinking back then, of course, like, your idea of America, or they have, like, it's like a boarding school, they would have dormitories and people. I was like, is there anywhere I can have a room? It's like, no, but I don't know nothing about that. You'll need to talk to the administrator. I was like, oh, okay. So I was there in the middle of nowhere with my bags and everything. And the taxi driver had left. And I was just there. So I just sat there. There was like a stair. In fact, later on, I took a picture sitting on that same staircase. So I just sat there. Of course, crying in the cold. It was super, super cold. And remember, I did not have a phone to call anyone. Who was I going to call anyways, even if I had a phone? So I sat there. And then the same security guy came back to me and said to me, you know what, I can help. I can call a taxi. Do you have, and then he said to me, oh, there's a Motel 6. Yeah, that's the one. Motel 6 somewhere around, not too far. You could go there and spend the night there and come back tomorrow morning. I said, okay. So again, he called another taxi. The taxi came. But this time around, the taxi took me to Motel 6. And of course, I think he charged me about $10 or something like that. And so I went to this motel. So remember, this was like almost going to 48 hours since I had left wherever I was. Remember, I had only that pack of donuts, yeah, and the cheese ball. So I had no food. I had nothing, absolutely. Oh, and the funny part, this is the part I forgot to say. When we got to a station in Illinois. Illinois, okay, if you're not familiar with Illinois, that's Chicago. I think you might know Chicago. So I was really, really thirsty and I wanted something to drink. So I had the money with me. And then, of course, it was my first encounter with a vending machine. So I had the money with me and I was dead thirsty. And then I see people going to the vending machine and doing whatever they were doing and getting whatever stuff out. And there I was standing just watching. So eventually I too went. I had my $20 bill, put the damn thing in. And up till today that I'm talking to you, I never got it back because I didn't know what I did or what I did not do. But the money never came out. So I was so embarrassed and ashamed to go even and ask anyone. So that's how I got back on the bus, because the bus was about to leave anyways. So I didn't eat. I didn't have anything. I couldn't drink anything because I couldn't use the vending machine. So anyways, he called a taxi for me. And then that was how I left. And I went to the Motel 6. And of course, I went, had a shower. They said to me they were charging, at the time, it was $50 a night. So I paid the $50. So I hope you guys are, like I said, I'm transporting you. And I hope you're understanding that I had said that I didn't have enough money. You understand? I didn't have enough money. This was the money they gave me for me to start up with. And this was the monies now I was using to do other things which I had not banked for. So I paid for the Motel 6, of course, had a shower, and of course I slept like there was no tomorrow. Woke up in the morning again. And when I woke up, Princess 18. I just saw somebody sent me a question. Princess NKJ 18. So I woke up the next morning, and then of course I went to the lady at the Motel 6 reception and said to her that I wanted to go to Kirkwood College, and she said, "Oh, okay, you could take that particular bus or you could take a taxi." So because I didn't know how to go around, I said, "Okay, I'll take a taxi." So I took a taxi. They didn't charge me much, and before you knew it, I was at the school. But let me say this before I move on. Now, I said to you that the taxi driver charged me $60 from the Greyhound bus station to Kirkwood College. It took me a few months when I actually was living in Cedar Rapids and Iowa to know that Kirkwood College was just right at the back. You can even walk. It wasn't that far. So what the driver did was just went round and round and round. And me being a totally clueless person at the time, we just sat there and then he charged me and I paid. But this was what happened. So at the time, I didn't know. But later I figured out that it was just round the block. So, of course, the next day in the morning, I went to the school. And, of course, everybody was nice. I met the international student advisor. She welcomed me and everything like that. I went for my registration from one spot to another. And then she said to me that, oh, we can't offer you on-campus housing because it was already full because you're late. But what we do have is their foster, like it's not foster, but people that, people that have like their homes and their children, like the kids have actually gone away to other states for schooling and stuff. I said you could stay, but you would have to pay. They were charging like $15 a day, but they would provide you with meals like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I had no option at the time. I had no other option. So of course I agreed. And that was it. So remember now, I think at that time I had like only like $400 or $500 left with me. I can't remember now the exact amount, but I didn't have much left with me. So that's how I started paying this $15 a day, staying with this lady and everything. Now, this is where the problem started. So I was going to school. Everything was working fine. Everything was going on okay. And then, of course, I started running out of money. By this time now, I had bought a phone. So I bought a phone. I would never forget my phone, my first phone. I got it through Verizon Wireless. So I got a phone. But at the time, it wasn't like now when you had like prepaid phones. It was like contract phones. And I see people who live in the States watching. And I don't know if you can remember that time when you had to pay either way. When a person calls you or you call the person, you had to pay. They would charge you. So there was a particular point, I think you could actually set your plan. So after 7 p.m., I think the plan I had then was 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. to 6 a.m., something like that. That time is free call. So anybody that calls you, anybody you call. But other times, whether you make the call or they call you, you pay. There was no question about that. Of course, I didn't know this as well. So I was just busy on the phone making calls and doing whatever and just thinking it was normal, so I was there lonely, bored, so I'll just call anyone and make calls. So that was fine. So I stayed there and then I started running out of money. Got to a point I didn't have no money, nothing absolutely. And this woman kept calling me every day and talking about me paying, I should pay and things like that. I was like, I have nothing to pay. But the irony is every time, like when I speak to my mom and my mom would ask me like, are you okay? Are you fine? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm all right. But I had absolutely nothing. But one vow I did make was that I was never going to eat that bag of Gary, and I never ate it up till today. I dumped the bag of Gary. I never ate it. I trashed it, and I never ate it, and I do not regret eating it because I've never ate that bag of Gary because I made up my mind that I was not going to eat it. So, fast forward, I started dodging this woman because I couldn't pay. I had no money, and then. And this is why I'm doing this story, not only I mean to entertain people, but to teach and let other people know, other young people that are out there that would be thinking or trying to embark on these journeys, that it's not as straightforward as it is. So I was thinking I can just go to America and I can just get a job. The first place I went to look for a job, I was told that I needed a social security number. Of course, I applied for the Social Security. When the Social Security card came, it was boldly, like written on the top of the card that not authorized. What was the wording again? Not I'm trying to not authorized, not allowed to work or something without INS authorization, something like that, something to that effect. I mean, I think I'm seeing some viewers who live in the States, they would know exactly what I'm talking about. But it didn't allow me to work as a student, as an international student. So I couldn't get a job. So this particular person, and I still have, the funny thing with me is I don't discard anything. So I still have, so this particular person, so eventually I had a phone and I spoke to this particular person who's my mom's nephew. And I said to him that, but I need to work. I said, I need to work. I don't have any more money. I was running out of money and stuff like that. This woman was on my neck like every day that, I have to pay her and stuff like that. So I said, I needed a job. So this particular person said to me that, don't worry, there's a particular individual in New York who I'll contact who would actually do you a social security card. It's kind of like a fake card, but it would allow you to work. And it's very normal. People do it. So don't worry. Don't be scared. You can do it. Just don't tell anyone. But he said to me, I had to pay, and it was $100. I said, okay. He sent me the person's number. I called the person. The person told me that I should put the money in his account and he will do it for me, and I should give him my address. That happened. So my final $100, actually went away for that. But I was this very, very, at the time, straightforward and honest person that I would tell anybody anything. So I wasn't going to hide. So the lady I lived with, I confided in her. She was an old woman, just an old woman like that. She lived alone and stuff like that. She had a little puppy dog and stuff. So I went to her and told her, this is what this person has said. I said, so I have done it so that I can work. And she said to me, oh, don't worry, I'll get you the job. Yes, thank you. Not valid for employment without INS authorization. Thanks, Joy. So she said to me, don't worry, I'll get you a job. There's a store there. I know all the managers. I'll get you a job. I said, okay. So, but in the meantime, I had not received this other social security card that this particular individual sorted out for me. So there was this other Nigerian dude that I met in Kirkwood. He was not in Kirkwood, but his father was actually, I think, a PhD candidate. No, it wasn't in Kirkwood. He was at the University of Iowa. His father was at the University of Iowa, but then he started coming to Kirkwood. So we kind of got to know each other, and he said to me, oh, you know what? I will give you my social security card. You walk with my social security card, but the only thing, you have to go by my name, and they would have to pay the money into my own account, and then I will give you the money. So of course I said, no problem. As long as I can get the job, that's fine. So again, like an idiot, I went back to this old lady and told her that, okay, this guy has offered me this. In fact, I brought the guy to the house. I said, this guy has offered me this so I can walk so that I can pay you. She said, okay, fine. So she took me to this store. It's the Hy-Vee food store. So she took me to this store. And then when I got to the store, she introduced me to the manager. They asked me questions and stuff like that. And they said, no problem. They'll give me the job. They did the interview and everything. And I had the job. It was basically a job to go. I was working in the deli area, like, selling like these cheese and salamis and things like that. So everything was fine. So I was working, and then I think the pay period was like two weekly every 2 weeks. So I started work. The first 2 weeks they paid. I was told that I was already paid. In fact, they gave me that kind of thing like a salary slip or something like that. But when I contacted the guy said to me that, he had some issues with his account, and when the money hit his account, the money was taken. So, he's going to figure out something and he'll give me back the money. So he never gave me that money yet. So I was working, but I never got back that money. So this woman now was expecting that I was going to have this particular amount of money coming in and that I will pay her. And I couldn't pay her. And she now was doubting me when I told her the guy never gave me the money. She said I should call the guy so that the guy can come to the house. The guy was not coming. I wasn't seeing the guy anymore and stuff like that. But there was nothing I could do because I couldn't go to my job to try to change the account details because I was scared that I was already working with somebody's social security card, and how could I ever do that? Because I was actually answering to his name. But this particular lady knew that. So this went on. I worked for another 2 weeks. They paid me, and I never saw the guy. And in all reality, I can tell you, I never saw him again, ever again, up till today. I never saw him again. So I worked for a whole month, and I was never paid. But so I didn't stop. I didn't voluntarily stop working, yeah? I didn't stop working. So remember, I explained to you that I didn't really understand this whole bit about the phone console. When I just went to the house, she had offered me, she said to me that, oh, you can use the landline to make calls and stuff like that, and it was fine. So when I make a call and let's say I discovered this whole new thing called conference calling, yeah, which we didn't have in Gambia at the time. So I could actually be talking to one person and I put another person on the line, not knowing they were charging her like for these things. So she just came and showed me her phone bill, and it was like $300 and something, and she's like, I have to pay the phone bill and I have to pay that thing, or I have to leave her house. I was like, I don't have the money, I don't have it. So again, clueless me, I decided to call this particular individual, like my mom's nephew, to explain the situation of what happened with the phone bill and the lady telling me that I have to pay and stuff. But I did that thinking, he would either say, oh, you can come back, or I'll send you something to help you out or stuff like that. And when I spoke to him, he went and called everyone that he knew that knows me and told them how I have ran this person's phone bill to some exorbitant amount that he gave, which was not true. So listen, so I was in a situation whereby I was working, and I didn't get paid. My monies had finished because I didn't have any money to pay the lady I was living with, the $15 a day. I had just now had like a $300 phone bill. I also have a phone bill of my own, which I said I didn't understand because I was using the phone during the day and everything like that and at all times. So I had that phone bill, which was the Verizon wireless phone bill as well. And then I had the issue of not having any money to even pay for my next semester for school. Okay? So this is what I was faced with. To add salt to injury, to make it worse than it could ever be, every single person, the cats, the chickens, the goats, everyone was talking about how I had went and ran this woman's phone bill. This particular individual called my mom, told my mom all sorts of stories that I ran the guy's phone bill and made all sorts of stories that up till today, some people, well, except after that I explained, believed it was true. And they were total false, blatant lies because it never happened. So anyways, I went to school this day and I came back from school. When I came back from school, walking down from where my house was, where I lived, the bus stop, because there were no fences, you understand? So there was it wasn't like an enclosed area you could actually see from one property to another. So I was walking down, and this was remember I said I went to America in August. So this was around September, mid-September. And trust me, if you know Iowa is like one of the coldest places in America. Really, 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 really cold. So it was cold. I didn't have like money. I think at that time I had one jacket that I had managed to get, but it wasn't like, too good. So I was walking down, and then I could see stuff, at the back porch, because I had the key to the back door. So on the back porch, I could see some things. So when I got closer, I realized that all my clothes, the ones that were in the suitcase were in the suitcase because the suitcase was out. The ones that were hanged were on top of the suitcase. All my books and stuff were on top of the suitcase. My shoes, everything I owned was actually outside on the back porch. When I tried to put the key in, it wouldn't go. She had actually changed the locks. Remember, at this time, I knew no one in Iowa, except the people that I meet in school and stuff. I had no clue where they lived. So I came home, I couldn't go into the house. I had absolutely nothing or nowhere to go. I was cold, I had no food, I had no money. I had the bus pass, which was about to run out, because I had a bus pass for a month, which was about to run out. So there I was, basically. I tried knocking the door, talking to her. She said to me that if I continue knocking her door, she'll call the police on me. They'll call the cops. So I was like, okay. So I managed to take my stuff, add all the other things I had. Luckily, I didn't have too many things, so I had to add all the stuff I had, put them in that suitcase. And there was a back shed in the outside. And so I took my stuff, just pretended as if I was leaving. So I left, and I was sure she was gonna, be peeping at me leaving. So I left. So when I left, I went to the gas station with my suitcase, and of course I had my backpack, and I just sat at the gas station. So that particular day, I was not supposed to go to work. So remember, they are not like nothing happened with my job. I just wasn't paid, but I was still going to work, thinking that okay, this guy was going to sort out anything that was going on. So I basically went to this gas station, the Hy-Vee gas station, and sat there. And when it was a bit dark, I went back, stealthily. I went back and went to this shed, put my stuff there, and it was in this shed that I slept. I had to wake up. I had to wake up very early so I can leave, so she wouldn't see me. You understand? I left my stuff, at the back of the shed, and then I went to school. So I didn't shower or anything, got some clothes and everything. I went to school. So, okay. I went to school, yeah? So I did that, but my bus pass was running out. So when I got to the school had a gym. So I went to the gym, showered at the gym, changed my clothes, went to class. So I was still going to class, with all this drama going on, I was still going to class. I didn't have somewhere to stay. I didn't have food to eat. I didn't have nothing. I was still going to class. So I did that. Then that particular day, I was supposed to go to work. Get this, I was supposed to go to work on this particular day. So I went to work. When I went to work, I was working and I saw this lady came in, just like she was doing her normal shopping. She came, she got whatever she was getting, and then she left again. So I was like, okay. I was like, oh, well, she didn't talk to me or anything. I said, so that's fine. But I just said it to myself that whenever I have money, if I have myself, I'll go and pay her so I can sort something else out. But at that particular point in time, I had nowhere to go to. I had no one to go to. I had no work, no job, no food, no nothing. And to make it worse, this particular individual, who I said was my mom's nephew, had gone back and called home and tell them every sort of story, how I had deliberately ran this guy's bill, this woman's bill and everything like that. So my mom was pretty upset at me not talking to me at the time. Most people didn't want to talk to me at the time anyways in my family because everybody believed the story that he said. But I was here jobless, working for free with no money, no place to live, nothing absolutely. So this was what was going on. Okay? So to fast forward, I had this particular friend. She was white. Her name was Ashley. So she was in my class. So usually, like if I don't get the bus, like if she was actually having the same classes as I was, she would usually give me a ride home because she didn't live far away from me. But she was living with her boyfriend. So this particular day, she gave me a ride, and on the ride home, the journey home, I just explained to her and I told her what has happened. I told her the lady kicked me out. I said, so I didn't have somewhere to stay. And she, Ashley, said to me that, you know what? She said, I don't know what to do. I don't have money myself. I can't get you an apartment. I would have allowed you to stay with me, but my boyfriend is kind of crazy and stuff like that, so you can't. But this is what I can do. He goes to work at a particular time. So if we're in school, I will keep your stuff. I'll leave them in the trunk of my car, and whatever you need, just tell me. So this is what we were doing. So Ashley would take I had my suitcase and everything, my books and everything in Ashley's car, in the trunk of his car. We would go to school. She would bring me I'll go to the car park, take like a shirt or something. I'll go to the gym. I'll shower at the gym, and then I'll come back, put the old clothes there, and then I'll go to class. After class, she would pick me up, take me to her apartment, because at the time her boyfriend was at work. She'll give me food, everything, and then she will come back and drop me at the gas station. And then when she drops me at the gas station, which was like not too far from my house where I used to live, then after 9 p.m. when it's dark and I knew the woman was already asleep, I would go back, sneak into the compound, and go at the back of the shed and sleep. So this was what I was doing. Until one particular day, I don't know what happened, what did not happen, but I think she found out that I was sleeping at the shed. So I went to the shed one particular day and found out that the shed was locked, and there was like a whole big old padlock there, so I couldn't access it. So then I started sleeping on the streets. So for the first time, I actually slept on the street. I actually sat at the gas station till morning. And this was like mid-September, now going to October, in very excruciating cold. I had no one to talk to. I had no one to help me out. Absolutely no one. And this is absolute reality. But in all of this that was happening, I'll tell you one thing that I was doing. I still managed to go to church every Sunday, and I was still singing in my church choir. So, going to church on Sundays, I met a particular girl, and I saw her watching me now. I don't know if she's still online, but I knew when I just started she was there. So I met this particular girl, and her name is Andrea. So we would talk in church like hello, hi, and stuff like that, and that's it. She would go and I would go. So this thing was going on for a while, and then I decided, okay, I had to find a way out. So what I did, I started getting, I don't know if you know what it's called, or most people, I don't know if you know what's called an Amtrak. But anyways, what I did was to travel at night. I would probably wait till about 10 o'clock at night or something like that. And I would travel from Cedar Rapids and go all the way to Iowa City. So whilst doing that, I could actually sleep on that journey over there from Cedar Rapids to Iowa City. And then I'll cross over and travel again from Iowa City to Cedar Rapids. So it would give me some time to sleep on my way and sleep on my way back. So this was what I was doing. You understand? And then, of course, bless her, Ashley would come up at the station. It was getting so bad, she was actually forcing her boyfriend to go to work like early and take more hours just so that she could help me. So this was what was going on. Now, so going back to Andrea, who I met in church. So we would talk every time I go to church or I go to like Bible studies. I think Bible study was on a Tuesday. We would talk and everything like that. And then, of course, she gave me her number and I took her number. So this particular day, Ashley had told me that her boyfriend was acting suspicious, because I would go there all the time when the boyfriend was not there, just so that I could keep warm, and she would give me food and things like that. So she said to me that she's having a bad feeling, so she wants us to just not do that for a while and see. So I was like, oh, okay, no problem. Of course, you can't say much, under those circumstances. So I was like, okay. So, of course, I was sleeping now. Well, when I come back from my journey going and coming back from one city to another, I would always go to this gas station where I would sit in a little corner and wait for Ashley. So this thing wasn't happening. So I got to a point whereby I was just tired. Like tired. The first time I ever begged a person for money, like I'm not talking about begging like $5 or $10, like serious begging. I'm telling you, begging somebody for 50 cents to buy a cup of hot chocolate because you feel that if I don't drink this, if I don't do this, I'm going to die. I was at that point. I just felt like, you know what, I can't take it anymore. That this is too much for me. This is not gonna happen. I couldn't deal. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. So it's that feeling, that feeling that comes over you whereby you like nobody, you feel like you're unwanted. You feel like nobody wants you. Nobody wants to listen to you because you have this particular individual who was peddling all these lies and giving a story. And this is a person who has lived in the States for so long. So whatever he said was kind of gospel to them living in Africa. And thinking everything that he was saying was right and everything was the truth. So I couldn't even turn to my own mom to talk to. I couldn't talk to no one, to absolutely no one, because everybody believed the story. The story was like, oh, you went, oh, you don't want to do anything, you're not serious. You went, you took, you ran somebody's phone bill. I mean, it was such a big thing to a point the woman copied the phone bill, sent it to him. He was circulating the phone bill everywhere. It was that bad. And here I was, no food, no home, no nothing. I had no money to pay my school fees. I had nothing. I was working for free and somebody else was taking the money. I couldn't stop. I didn't know what to say, what to do, because at least when I go to work, the time, and it wasn't like hours. This was like maybe going to work for like 2 hours a day or 3 hours. But when I go, at least you're sure that you were allowed to take some hot food or eat something. So I had to do it. I had to do it just so that I can survive. So, but after a while, just going to work and realizing that you're not being paid. So this particular week, I was not giving any hours. So I couldn't go to work. The person who was helping me, her boyfriend had like started acting like very, suspicious of our activities. So she couldn't do it anymore. I was here in Iowa in September, late September, in blistering cold. Sleeping on the streets of America, just because I wanted to become a better person, just because I wanted to do stuff. And it's so funny when in later, in the latter part of your life, you see people talking and saying stuff. They don't know your story. They don't know how, where you've traveled from. They don't know where you've been. And all they want to do is be judgmental, just talk about people and peddle lies and stuff. So I'll tell you, this particular person, my mom's nephew that had made a promise that, oh, let him come, I'll take care of him, stopped contacting me because knowing what he did. Knowing what he did. And then to add salt to injury, imagine a person who had not contributed a dime to my education, not contributed a dime to me coming to the States, not helped me in any way, started sending people to call my school to find out whether I was still going to school. The next minute I know, I spoke to my mom. My mom was telling me, oh, they said you're not going to school. And I wanted to ask her at the time, I wanted to say to her, but how do you think I'm going to go to school? Who's paying for my tuition to go to school? Anyways, so this particular day, going back to this day, I just felt like, you know what, I've had enough. I was like, I can't take it anymore. I just said to myself, you know what, this is it. This is it. I'm done. Like, I'm not gonna, even the maids in my house, they would cook. My mom doesn't go and dish food for them. They take what they want. They go to the kitchen and dish their own food. And here I was, I had no food, I had nothing, absolutely nothing. So I said, no, man, I'm not gonna do this no more. It's okay. I said, that's fine. So I was like, that's it. I was just thinking, what am I going to do? It's the first time ever in my life that I had suicidal tendencies because I just wanted to end it. I just wanted to kill myself, basically. That's what I wanted to do. So I went to this gas station. It's right not too far from where I used to live. So I was starting to get friendly with the guy that works there in the evening. So I sat there. I had my backpack, and then for some strange reason, I just knew if anything happened to me, what were they gonna tell my parents, or how were they gonna reach my parents? How were they gonna reach my mom to tell my mom that I had died? Because I knew I was going to kill myself. And trust me, I'm a very strong-willed person. I think most Gambians can tell by now that I'm not a person that I don't rush to make decisions. But when I make my decisions, it's just final. I don't go back, and I'm very strong-willed. So I just said to me, you know what, that's it. But I wanted, at least if I die, I didn't want somebody to just leave my body and go dump me. I don't know anything. So I called this girl that I told you that is actually watching me right now, Andrea. I called Andrea, and I said to Andrea, it's like, no, I called. So when I called, it was like a coin box, yeah, outside this food store. So I went and I called her. But when I called her, it was her mom who picked up the phone, okay? And we started becoming friends in church, yeah? So it was her mom who picked up the phone. And then her mom said to me that, Andy, she's in the shower. So can you call her back? I said, okay. And then, just normal, she said to me, are you okay? I said, yeah. She's like, oh, okay. And she made me feel relaxed, and she's like, where are you? Are you home? How's everything? Have you had your nice warm meal? I said, yes, I have. And she's like, okay. So I hung up the phone. So when I hung up the phone, man, I went and I sat back, and you could actually see the tears running out, because I know I was hungry. I know I had not eaten for probably 1 day, 2 days. And this woman was talking to me about a hot meal, and I was here saying, oh yes, I just had a nice hot meal and I was home. So I sat at the gas station, and then maybe let's say about 30 minutes after, it wasn't a coin box, but it was this kind of commercial phones that was just hanging in there. So the phone rang, and then the guy said to me that, oh, I'm sure it's the person you called that is calling you back. So I said to her, no. I said, it's not me they're calling. I said, no, I'm not picking it up. And she's like, no, pick it up. I said, no, I'm not picking it up. And she's like, I'm sure it's your call. I said, no, it's not my call. So I sat there I was thinking, what am I going to do? Am I just going to go to the Amtrak, to the train station, and just dump myself in front of the train? How am I going to kill myself? How am I going to take myself? So I sat there and I was crying. The phone rang again. I didn't pick it up. And if people don't know, let me tell you, this woman, go back on my Facebook page, and you would realize that this woman was the woman that did the voiceover, the video, to talk about how I have been a blessing to her life and things like that. And she is like my mother up till now. She loves me to death. This was a woman at that time that I did not know, yeah? I knew her daughter, and I did not even know her daughter well. We were just kind of talking to each other. You just go to church, you see a girl, nice girl, you guys exchange numbers, that's it. So as I sat there, 30 minutes, going to an hour, the phone rang about 2-3 times, and nobody, I didn't pick up. I think, no, I picked up. No, I picked up. So she called again the second time, and the guy said to me, no, it's your call. So I picked up. And when I picked up, she said to me, yeah, I picked up. And then she said to me, I'm trying to think, did I pick up? Yeah, I picked up. And she said to me, oh, it was her daughter. And she said to me, no, I didn't pick up. No, I did not pick up. I'll tell you what happened. I did not pick up the call. I didn't pick up. So when Andrea finished from the shower, this was what Andrea told me later. So when she finished from the shower, her mom told her that I had called, but she has a feeling, this is what she said, she had a feeling that I was not okay. So they tried calling, but I didn't pick up the phone. But what happened at the time was, when I called them, the caller ID on the phone showed exactly where I was calling from, that I was calling from this Hy-Vee, from this gas station or something like that. So I sat there, and then this car just pulled over. When I looked out, there was this woman. If you see, I'll probably post a picture later. She just walked into and she was alone. She didn't come with her daughter. She just walked into the gas station. I had my backpack and I was sitting there crying and stuff. And she just said to me, "Melville." And I was like, "Yes." "I don't want to know. I don't want to hear the story. Just get in the car." This was exactly what she said. "I don't want to know. I don't want to hear the story. Just get in the car." I picked my bag, sobbing, crying, got into her car. And the rest was history. This woman took me to her house. It was this woman that got me my driver's license, practically taught me how to drive. That same December, remember I said this was in September, it's there about that same December, she took me, we went to England to see my sister at the time. And I lived in her house forever, for as long as I lived in Iowa. She's never asked me to pay for anything. She gave me free food. She bought me clothes. She bought me everything. She just basically became my mom. And I'll tell you what happened. Right at that moment when I went to live with her, she would drive me to school every day. At some point, when she figured I knew the way, we would drive all the way to her office, and then I would take the bus to school, because she used to work in downtown. She was like an accountant. She's now a nurse. And then I would go to school. And I had my own room. I had everything I wanted. She basically took care of me. So that was why when some story came out, and I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to humor people, but some story about abuse or whatever they said, she came out. She came out to say how much I mean to her and how much I've been a blessing to her. I mean, of course, she's been even a greater blessing to me, and she basically took care of me. And I stayed. I think after a week of staying in her house, I told her the whole story about the whole social security thing and stuff like that. And she told me she was going to sort it out. And she said I should go to work, and that before the end of that pay period, she was going to find a solution to it. So I was going to work, but guess what? That was when the woman that I stayed with, that I said I couldn't pay, I think I stayed with her for like a month and a half or something like that, August, September, yeah, that I couldn't pay the rent, went to the store, the Hy-Vee food store, and told them that the documents I was using to work were not mine, and I was working under somebody else's name. So of course one day I went to work, but by then now I was already staying with Marilyn. So I went to work one day, and as I was working, the manager came, called me, said I should come upstairs. I went upstairs. There were two immigration officers, or how you call them again? These people from Homeland Security, whatever. No, it's not Homeland Security, it's in England, I think. Oh, I can't remember. INS, whatever. And they came and got me, took me to downtown somewhere, their office, to say that, well, I have violated my student visa because I was not allowed to work, and I was working with somebody's paper and stuff like that. And guess what happened? I had to tell them the whole story of the INS. Yes, the INS, Cham Demba. Thank you very much, my brother, the INS. So I had to tell them the whole story. And guess what happened? When they called this guy, the Nigerian guy that I was working for and they were paying, he told them that no, it's not true. He never gave me his social security number to work with. I stole it. That I stole the social security card from him. His social security number. The only thing that saved me was the fact that they've paid 2 paychecks into his account, which he never gave to me. So when they talked, when he said, like, you know, the card was stolen and everything like that, they did their investigation and figure out that I was, monies had gone into his own account. He got the money, and to be honest, he never gave me the money. And when they checked his account was in zero. So which means he chopped the money. And that was the only thing that saved me. And of course, you had Marilyn, of course, came there now, and they knew I had like another person, an American woman. She stood by me. And that was how that thing was solved. So I ended up staying with Marilyn the entire time I was in Iowa until I finished Iowa and I left and went to Seattle. So basically, this was my journey, first part of my journey. And then probably the second part would be how I moved from Iowa to Seattle. But the central message, the central theme of this message is just to tell you how God can, nobody can alter your destiny. There's no one that can alter your destiny. God would turn out the worst of situations, just to propel you and put you close to what is your destiny and what is out there for you and what is meant for you. And there's a saying that, things that don't break you make you stronger. And sometimes people, I've been doing this, and I said this the last time, that people don't understand. They don't get it, how you could survive certain things. I've seen people ask me every day, boy, if this was me, I would have been dead. If this had happened to me, I don't know, how could you do it? I could do it because I had gone through situations in my life where I knew I had to fight for whatever it is that I had to get. So I had a person who my mom trusted, who gave my mom all the assurances that, hey, you know what, let this guy come. Imagine a young guy. And I'm telling you, this was not me being an adult. This was just me being a young 18, whatever year old guy leaving Gambia. You've always lived with your mom. You're still considered a child. And I was just left out there in the deep blue sea, man. I had to survive. I had nothing, absolutely nothing. This particular individual he did not even give me a shirt. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Yet he's the person who has propelled the most lies, the most despicable things about me that you can ever imagine. Even up till now, somebody called me telling me how when all these accusations surfaced, that he was actually sending them messages and telling them, you see what I told you. And I said to the person, don't mind him, because what he told you, what he's telling you, you see what I told you, is something that he will never see in his lifetime. He would never ever see me down. He would never ever see me suffer. It will not happen. I didn't tell my mom this until my mom was ill and my mom was about to die. That was when I sat down, because I had so much time to spend with my mom, and I had to sit down and tell my mom these stories. At that time, at a very young age, maybe I was ashamed. I was defensive. I was scared to even say, now I can publicly and openly tell anyone who cares to listen or hear that, yes, I ran the woman's phone bill because I didn't understand the billing system in America. That's the only crime I did. That's the only crime I committed against her. And if she were alive today or wherever she is, I could, because you know what? It's so funny, because I went back to America, and the only thing I wanted was to go back and look for this woman to tell her that, hey, you know what, your $300 phone bill, this is it. You can have it and have it even more. But I couldn't find her. In fact, Marilyn had to drive down to a house to go look for her, but the house was deserted, and I'm thinking she probably must have passed on. This is the woman who kicked me out of her house, allowed for me to be outside in the streets in the heart of winter, sleeping on the streets of America. These are things that people don't know. People don't know how far you've come. They don't know your story. They don't know how you've traveled. And yet still they can sit down today and run their mouth and say things that are absolute false, things that they were not present, they were not there when it happened. Because you know what? Your success, it burns them. Your success intimidates them. Because they had peddled a particular narrative. They had fueled a particular narrative of the person you are, of what they expect you to be. I've had people tell me all sorts. or you won't amount to nothing. There's this saying they say in Aku, I don't know if you would understand that. It's called something like, you know go better, you know go better. Who are you to tell me I know go better? Are you God? Are you God? And I thank God, because there's a saying that, sometimes God will allow your enemies to live long so that they can see what you will be in the future. They can see your success. They've been trying. They've done everything. But in everything I have conquered, because I know I serve a God. I serve a living God. And I know as long as I have a clear conscience, I know as long as I believe in my God, as long as I know. I know. Nobody needs to tell me. I tell people this. When I hear people telling me, oh, you're blessed, I said, you know what? If I don't have anything, I've got the blessings of my mother. And wallahi, except I do something wrong there, huh? Except I do something wrong. But me, Melville Robertson Roberts, I'm saying this today publicly, yeah? If I did not do anything and I've not done anything, there's nothing that any man can do to me to harm me. You will try fire. You will do anything you can. It will never happen. It will never succeed, because my conscience is clear and I'm blessed. So many people don't even think I would have been here today. They thought I would have been somewhere else, but it wouldn't happen. It cannot happen. Because lies would always be lies. It's only the truth that will survive. It's only the truth that will live on. People can hate. Let me tell you something. Sometimes even the people that are closest to you are the ones that peddle the most despicable things about you, which are false. Absolute lies. Absolute lies. But what I want to tell you out there, believe in yourself. That's what you need to do. You need to believe in yourself, and you need to have confidence in yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you that you're good. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you what you're capable of doing. Don't let somebody else try to find your destiny for you or reshape your destiny. Believe in yourself. Go after it. Go after it. Succeed in whatever you do. Don't look back until you get the prize. So today, I've been through it all, but hey, guess what? From sleeping in the streets of America, the first time I ever went back to America, I was seconded at the United Nations. So imagine, from sleeping in the streets of America to going back and working at the United Nations, to being picked up, to being driven around the streets of America, the streets of New York. It can only be God's blessings. From struggling in Cackwood, didn't even know how I was going to pay for my next semester, to coming to the University of Oxford with a tuition of over £30,000, being paid in full, and even being paid stipend, giving accommodation and everything, and I did not spend a dime. That's because the blessings and favor of God is upon me and shall be upon me until I breathe my last. So basically, this is another part of my story that people don't know. And since whatever I've decided now, because I see whatever I write, whatever I post, it goes viral. People talk about it. I said, fine, I'll tell you my story myself. There's no particular person. There's an African writer who said, until Africans tell their own story, until Africans tell their own history, Africa will not get the recognition it deserves. I, Melville Robertson Roberts, I am not waiting for anybody to tell my story. As long as I breathe, I will tell my own story the way I want to tell it, how it is, and I will set my own narrative. There is nobody that can do it for me. You can say whatever you want to say. You can peddle whatever fabrications you want to do. But I can debunk, it will be debunked, each and every one of them. Because it is only the truth that lasts. So on that note, I challenge all of you to keep firm, keep the faith, believe in yourself. I do, and I want you to. And like my mom would always say, God never yet forsook at need the soul that trusted in him. The soul that trusts in him. Indeed. Okay, I'm so emotional right now, so I'm saying it wrong. God never yet forsook at need the soul that trusted him indeed. Yeah, never. Never. And there's another Aku saying, I probably would not be able to translate it directly into English, but my mom always used to say, you will throw away ashes, now you ashes they fall. What that simply means is, if you are doing bad to people, yeah, you're wishing bad for people, you're trying to bring evil to people, it is you that evil will follow. If you go and take ashes is dormital, ash. You try to throw it, throw it across to someone. It's gonna come back at you. It is you that the ash will come back at. It's you that it will come back at. She had another saying that she would say, when thou art ceased to spoil, then shall thou be spoiled. And I keep telling people this, that I am unbreakable because I have a mother who prepared me for society. She prepared me. She armed me for society. She armed me for everything I would ever face in my life. Everything I would ever face in my life. So if you sit out there in your comfort zone and you think you can break Melville Roberts, you are the biggest fool ever, because it will never happen. You're the biggest joke. I don't run and hide. As long as my conscience is clear, I will not. My success will continue to intimidate you. My progress will continue to give you headaches. At the mention of my name, your head will spin, because the grace of God is upon me, and greater is he that is in me than he that is in them. And that's the reality, because I'm blessed. I am blessed, and I know it. My life story is the epitome of blessings. So, brothers, friends, all I can tell you is you need to stand firm. You need to work hard. Don't allow anyone to rewrite your story. Don't allow anyone to rewrite your destiny. Your destiny is in the hands of God. I remember when I was much young, and I'm telling you this, and that's why sometimes I think even though I've started writing a book about my own journey, I'm thinking I need to write about my mother. I need to let people know who she was, and the legacy that she has left behind, and the life that she lived. From an early age, I remember, because I had this thing, and I still have it. I mean, I suffered in Oxford. A lot of people can tell you, because suffering in the sense that I am not the type of person that would hold a book and read from morning till night. No, I'm not that type of person. I'm not that. So basically, sorry, somebody was calling me, so it was interrupted. So I don't know what's going on. Somebody's calling and it's just interrupting the call, the live video. So when I refused to study, she would always tell me that her favorite saying, quotation was something I was saying was, was the height that men reach was not attained by a sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, kept toiling upwards in the night. So whatever you see somebody achieving today, that you were not part of their story, you don't know how hard they have toiled in the night. When you were still enjoying your day, it was their night. It was their night. And now that their day has come, you want to turn their day into night? It will never happen. It will never happen. But anyways, I think I've given my story. I've been able to tell my story. I've been able to give you guys an insight into my story and that journey from Banjul to Cedar Rapids. I couldn't really respond to all your comments. It's been amazing. My phone keeps going off. I think my battery is low now. I don't even know what's happening, so it might cut off. So I'll probably have to end here. I know everybody wants me to do like an interactive session like the last time, get people to ask questions, but Probably I have to charge my phone and then do this again, or probably we'll do that next week Saturday when we do this again. But thank you guys so much. Thanks for being there. I saw all the beautiful comments, and I pray that God will continue to guide and protect us in everything that we do, and that, you know, someday we'll all come together again, and you know, we will motivate each other, keep each other up, and build each other up. That's what human beings should do. Don't try to pull anybody down. You know, my mom used to tell me that, you know, you should be nice. And remember when I had issues like with the maids or something like that, I'll get angry with them. She always tells me that life is like a ladder. You're climbing. You know, the people, be nice to the people on your way up, because they might just be the same people you might meet on your way down. Nobody knows, so just be nice. Help to build someone up. Don't try to pull someone down, because by you pulling someone down, it means you have to be down. It means you have to remain down while you try to bring somebody down. Because you cannot bring someone down who's at the same level as you. It invariably has to occur that that person is way up there and you're trying to pull that person down. You have to be below the person to pull the person down. So anybody that's trying to pull you down, just look at them. They're below you. In fact, they're prophesying and telling you something that you don't know. Because if you don't know you're above them, just look at them when they're trying to pull you down. It just means that they're below you. They're down there. But anyways, I gotta end here. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful Saturday. Enjoy your Sunday. And I wish you all a fruitful and prosperous week. Thank you. Bye-bye.